Hello and welcome to Dawn News English. I'm Mubashir Zaidi. The crisis in Pakistan is never ending, and the latest is the Supreme Court hearing in which the Supreme Court will be examining the point of law whether the votes that were rejected in Punjab Assembly by the Deputy Speaker Dost Mohammad Mazari on the basis that PMLQ votes cannot be counted, as the party head Chaudhry Shujaat has written a letter to the Deputy Speaker and asking him not to count the votes. This has led Chaudhry Parvez Elahi and PTI to file a petition in the Supreme Court asking that the question has been decided by the Supreme Court in their earlier judgment in 63A, in which they have said that it has to be the party parliamentary leader who could decide the members who to vote and who not to vote. So the question is before the court is now the interpretation of its own judgment, which has been interpreted by the Deputy Speaker in a manner that he has rejected the Q votes. Earlier, just before the hearing began in Samba today, we had seen a press conference by PDM leaders including Mariam Nawaz, Bilawal Bhutto, Maulana Fazlur Rahman and others who have shown demanded from the Supreme Court Chief Justice to make a full court comprising all judges of the superior courts, in this case the Supreme Court, to hear the petition. Although it remains the prerogative of the Chief Justice to form a bench of his choosing, here the hearing that has started, it is a 3-member bench headed by Chief Justice Umar Ata Bandial himself and Justice Ejazul Ehsan and Justice Muneeb Akhtar. The initial arguments that have been presented before the court by the counsels of the trustee Chief Minister Hamza Shehbaz as well as Dost Mohammad Laghari, both the lawyers have argued that the party head letter under which the votes of Q were rejected should be considered as a legitimate letter, while the judges are still arguing with the lawyers, saying, for example, Justice Muneeb Akhtar observed that 63A had been made part of the Constitution through the 18th Amendment and asked the counsel to present his legal arguments regarding the party head. He observed that 18th Amendment there were two rules according to Justice Akhtar to cast votes in accordance with the party policy. Prior to the 18th Amendment, Justice Muneeb Akhtar said Article 63A used to refer to the party head's instructions, meaning thereby that Supreme Court is of the observation that the power was lying with the party head prior to 18th Amendment, but after 18th Amendment it has to be the parliamentary party, and in this case the leader of the parliamentary party has the power to instruct the members who to vote, who not to vote. So the arguments are still ongoing in the Supreme Court, but the situation in Punjab is not getting resolved in a manner that trustee Chief Minister Hamza Shehbaz was asked not to act as a full-fledged Chief Minister, but he had sworn in his 35-member cabinet plus advisors as well. So it is yet to be seen how Supreme Court will respond to it. But since the hearing has begun today, we have seen majority of the PDM parties as well as the bar associations requesting the Chief Justice to form a full court to hear the petitions. But so far we haven't seen Chief Justice's decision whether or not he would go for the full court or he would stick with his own 3-member bench. Now everyone's talking about the PDM press conference in which the leaders were very aggressive and they claim that whatever's happening in the country, they've indirectly blamed the judiciary for the current situation. In fact, Mariam Nawaz had categorically said that whatever is the current situation of the country is due to the results of the decisions of the judiciary. So, it seems like that PDM has now taken on the judiciary, and they are trying to exert the pressure on the Supreme Court to give a decision of their own choosing, which may or may not work for them, because they know that the case is in the Supreme Court, and the government of Hamza Shehbaz, which has been hanging in the balance since April 30th, when he first took oath. He was not allowed to take oath in the Punjab Assembly building by the then Speaker Chaudhry Parvez Ilahi, so he had to take oath in Awan-e-Adal. After that, he had taken another oath, and then he has so far taken 3 oaths of his chief ministership, but yet his chief ministership is not confirmed and subject to the decision by the apex court. Now, if we talk about who's representing who in the Supreme Court, so we've got Supreme Court Bar Association, there we've got People's Party, we've got PMLN, we've got JUIF, as well as we've seen the representatives of Hamza Shehbaz and Deputy Speaker Dost Mohammad Mazari. On the other hand, the main petitioners in this case, Chaudhry Parvez Ilahi and PTI, are waiting for their turn to give the arguments. It seems like with so many petitions, the case may linger on for few days, if not weeks, because right now the situation is that the court has to also decide on the applications of the PDM councils, as well as the Supreme Court Bar Association, that whether it wants to go for full court or not. So far, Chief Justice Umar Ata Bandyal has said that the councils have failed to convince him on the issue of forming a full court, which gives us an indication that the court will only constitute a full court if it is fully satisfied with the arguments of the PDM leader. But the press conference that happened in Islamabad by PDM leaders ahead of the hearing has set the tone. So the environment inside the court was very tense initially when Irfan Qadir, the counsel for the Deputy Speaker Punjab, Dost Mohammad Mazari, had exchanged few words with Chief Justice Umar Ata Bandyal, who tried to tell him to keep himself limited to the arguments that he's going to prepare. The case is still going on, and as I said before, it may take days, if not weeks, for them to decide. But a legal battle is on, very much on, and we are going to see whether the court will stick to its earlier decision of giving the power to the parliamentary party leader, or will interpret in favor of the PDM leadership, which says that the party head, not the parliamentary party head, is empowered to instruct its members in the assembly, whether national or provincial, to vote or for a certain amendment, certain party, or in the elections of chief minister.